Hyundai Ioniq 6, PCP, personal lease, salary sacrifice. Stay tuned. Welcome back, folks. JD here again. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks also for your support over the last couple of weeks. The last couple of videos, especially the one on the Porsche Macan EV, I'll put a link up to it here, has gone down really well. So I really appreciate your support. It's pulled in quite a few more subscribers. So if you are new to the channel and you like what you see, please do make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon so that you're notified as and when I release new content. So over to today. So a bit like the same kind of format that I've done over the last couple of weeks. We're going to pick a car, we're going to look at a current PCP deal, a personal lease deal, and then a business salary sacrifice deal, and we're going to compare and contrast the three options. So let's just nip over to Hyundai. So this is the car we're looking at today. So this is a Hyundai Ioniq 6 premium 77 kilowatt hour long range, has a base price of £47,050, and like we do with all these videos, we're going to assume it's the basic specs. We're not going to add any color options, we're not going to put any new wheels on it or that kind of thing. It's going to be as the car comes. So scrolling down to this PCP deal at the moment. If you're not sure what PCP is, there's loads of content on my channel that explains how a PCP works, so we're not going to talk about that today. But we're going to look at a 2-year deal with a low deposit. Now, the reason I'm using a low deposit is because when we do a salary sacrifice and a personal lease, I tend to like to go for a 1+ term. So that means you're not putting in a massive deposit at the beginning. You can do, if you've got a big deposit, you can do something else with that money and maybe get a bit of some interest on that. And instead you put, in terms of a lease, a 1 + 23. So that would mean 1 month up front, 23 equal payments, rather than something like a 12-month upfront, which is obviously a big deposit. And do be careful when you use the Lease Loco website, which I'll be using today, because often that will default to a large upfront deposit. So something else to bear in mind, we've talked about it many times before. This is showing 25 months log. So if you're after a 2-year deal, make sure you always compare the correct amount of months, because sometimes you'll get a 1 + 23 in this case, or a 1 + 24, or a 1 + 35, or a 1 + 36. So if you go into a deal and say I want a 3-year PCP, they might quote you 37 months rather than 36, and that can obviously have a big impact on the total amount that you're paying across the term. So I can't choose a 1 + 23. I can choose a 25, which is effectively deposit, and then 24 equal payments. So I'm going to choose a £500 deposit, and over 2 years, or 25 months in this case, it's coming out at £973.54 a month. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But you will see there are cheaper ways of doing this. So 973.54. So that's 24 monthly payments of 973.54, a deposit of £500, a deposit contribution of £2,000 coming from them. So your total deposit's £2,500. That can have an effect when you're looking at VT points. So if you're not sure what voluntary termination points are, look at some of my other videos on the channel. And I also have a spreadsheet which you can buy from the channel by emailing me up here, and you can get your hands on that and it'll help you calculate where your VT point is. Anyway, the good thing about this is there's no interest, so it's 0% interest. So let's just start to work out what this is going to cost us across the term. So I'm going to nip over to this spreadsheet here. We'll make a blank tab, and this is PCP. So we've got a deposit of 500. We've got a monthly payment of 973.54. And we've got 23 of those. So the total across the term is 23 times that plus that. So the total across the term over 2 years is £22,891.42 on a PCP. And this always assumes that we're not going to own the car at the end. We're not going to pay off the balloon payment, which in this example is £21,185. So we're going to assume we're just going to hand the car back, the same as you would do at the end of a salary sacrifice or a lease. So that is on a PCP. What about a personal lease? So over to Lease Loco. Again, no affiliation, but it's a great website. It lets you compare current lease deals. And that's completely the wrong car, because that's another video I'm doing. So let's just go and find this Hyundai, which is there. Right, so check it's the same car. So it's the Ultimate 77 kilowatts. What have I done on here? We've done the premium on here, so that's interesting because the premium is coming out. Oh no, I thought it was going to come out more. Okay, premium. So let's have a look at the lease terms. So we need a personal lease, 2 years, and like I said earlier, we're going to put a low deposit in, so 1 month deposit. And what mileage on this? So mileage on here. Does it tell me? Annual mile is 10,000. Yeah, I've set that earlier. So let's make sure the lease is the same. So 10,000 miles per year. Right, look at that. So on a personal lease, on a 77 kilowatt hour Hyundai Premium, is coming out with a deposit of 1 month, which is £409.63, 10,000 miles per year, and effectively 23 other payments rather than 24 on the Hyundai. Can't speak on the PCP even. Sorry, I've got a bit of a migraine today. It's putting me off. So that's coming out at, let's have a look. So we've got personal lease, deposit of 409.63, and then 23 payments of that, which is that. Let's just put that there actually, 409.63. So total across the term is that times 23 plus that. And I just want to check something. Yes, I did. So on the PCP, I put 23. Remember, it was a 25-month agreement, so we've got 24 equal payments there. There we go. Look at that difference. So PCP across the term, 23,864. Personal lease across the term, 9,831, assuming we're going to give the car back at the end. What's the difference? So that minus that, £14,000 cheaper on a lease versus a PCP, which over each month is that over 24, £584 a month cheaper at the moment to personally lease a Hyundai Ioniq 6 versus a PCP. What about salary sacrifice? So salary sacrifice we've talked about loads of times before. Salary sacrifice schemes are available from loads of different providers. They often include things like gap cover and insurance and everything. What I do on here is I just assume a typical business lease, and we look at how much it would cost for a couple of different salary levels. So if we go back to Lease Loco, we'll choose 10,000 miles still again. We'll change it to business. Everything else is the same. And that's coming out at 341.36 plus VAT. Now, with a car that is used for personal use, you could only reclaim half the VAT. So what I do is I add on 10% VAT to this price. That's the amount we're going to salary sacrifice, because we're going to assume the company can reclaim the other half of the VAT. So that gives us a figure of, let's have a look, 341.36 plus 10% VAT, which is £375.50 a month, or across the year that times 12, £4,505. So that's how much you're going to sacrifice from your salary, and that's the amount you're going to save tax and national insurance on. So let's go to the salary sacrifice spreadsheet. Again, this is available to purchase, one-off donation of £10. You can get yourself a copy of this spreadsheet. So we're going to assume it's a standard tax code of 1257L. We're going to assume we've got a salary of, say, £50,000 a year, and we're going to assume there's no other deduction, so no other salary sacrifice, no pension, that kind of thing. So going over here, we're going to put a salary sacrifice yearly amount in of 4505.95. 4505.95. So that drops our taxable pay to 45,494. And then we also have to remember to add our company car tax, our benefit in kind. So the P11D value of this car is going to be pretty much the purchase price, for the sake of argument, 47,050. So we need to put that into the spreadsheet, 47,050. And the current rate is 2%, so £941 will come off our personal allowance, and we will then pay tax, an additional amount of tax of £941 multiplied by our tax rate. So in this case, 50,000 a year is 20%. So that means our tax code is changed to 1163L, and that means that that car will cost us £286.04 per month with a 23.82% saving. So let's put that in here. So salary sacrifice is 286, what was it? 286.04. Basically 286.04 for the remaining 23 months, which gives us that times 24 effectively. 6864.96 over the term. So compared with the PCP, and assuming you could get a salary sacrifice at this amount of rental per month, the saving is that minus that. £17,000 cheaper across the 2 years, or £708 a month if you can salary sacrifice this amount. Now, if you earn even more, you save even more. So what if we earned £60,000 a year? We would get that car for £249.15 a month, a saving of 33.65%. And there's even more to go. If you earn more than £100,000 a year, you can save up to 60%, because for every £2 you earn over £100,000 a year, £1 comes off your standard personal allowance. So if you earn £125,000 a year, you've got no personal allowance. So if you can sacrifice back under that £100,000 a year level, you can save a fortune. And also, you might get some of the company national insurance saving passed on to you. So let's say your employer is very generous and they say, well, we're going to give you half of our company NI saving because they save company national insurance on the amount that you sacrifice. They pay some on the benefit that you're paying, so they will pay 15% of £941 a year effectively. But let's say they pass on half their company NI saving, you can get that down to $247.58 because there isn't a huge amount of saving for a higher earner. That's the only thing. Company NI saving is not as much if you're into the 40% tax band, because you only pay NI at 2% rather than the current level of 13.8 or 12, one of those two. So there you go. I hope that was useful. So effectively, we could save thousands on a salary sacrifice or even a personal lease compared to a PCP. I hope that was useful. As I said, if you want to get your hands on a copy of either my PCP or HP calculator or the spreadsheet that you've just seen me using, please do send an email here and you'll get instructions as to how you can get your hands on a copy. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care.